Mic check for Gigi. Hello, 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 hello. Okay.
Hamilton County Tax Levy Review Committee public hearing, and I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves on the dais.
Christy Rischel, Assistant Clerk.
Oh, I thought Leslie was Stephanie Sumrow Dumas, Commissioner.
Good evening. I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator.
James Sayer, Legal Counsel.
And I'm Hamilton County Commission Board President Alicia Reese. We want to thank all of you for coming out this evening for this public hearing so that we can hear from you. But before we do that, I'm going to ask Mr. Aludo there's a presentation just to quickly bring us up to speed.
There is. Actually, Ms. Webb is going to walk us through a brief presentation just to tee up the public hearing in general.
Awesome.
Thank you. This will be very quick. Ooh, I don't know what happened there. Apologize. I do not have COVID. My kids do. I'm just an abundance of caution. Thank you. I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick overview of the tax levy process, where we're at now, the levy's up for review, and the next steps. And then we can get right to the public hearing. Thank you. Oh, that's it right there. Go ahead. Next slide. The Tax Levy Review Committee began their work in January of this year with hiring a consultant for both the developmental disability services and the family services and treatment levies. In February, they began with agency presentations from organizations associated with both of those levies. They then spent the months of March and April doing agency meetings and tours. Those are with both the consultants for each of those levy reviews as well as the subcommittees from the Tax Levy Review Committee. Those consultant reports were finalized in May. They are available on the Tax Levy Committee website. If anyone would like to take a look at the larger documents, they're about 100 pages each. And then the Tax Levy Committee conducted public hearings on both of the levies in June. There were a lot of familiar faces out here from those meetings as well. The Tax Levy Committee finalized their recommendations for both levies and then made those recommendations to the commissioners last Tuesday at the commission meeting. They actually finalized them last Monday on the 24th and presented them on the 25th. Slide. I'm just going to go really quickly through those recommendations for you, and then we can go ahead and get started with the public hearing. Developmental Disability Services Levy. It's important to note that the Hamilton County is mandated to provide these services to infants, children, and adults with developmental disabilities. The levy itself, there's only one levy for developmental disabilities, and it is the only local funding source for these services in our community. It is one of the largest levies in Hamilton County, bringing in an estimated $77 million a year in revenues. I will note that the consultants noted that developmental disabilities levy has a sizable fund balance that is majorly due to decreased services during COVID and increases in federal funding during that same period, over the COVID period. Needs for services and costs for services continue to increase in this levy, and they will drive down this fund balance over the next 5-year period. The reliance on that fund balance is not unique to Hamilton County. The consultants found that 81 of the 88 counties in Ohio are also reporting utilizing their fund balances to cover additional costs over the next couple years. Slide. I will note that a lot of this is due to state changes in law. DDS was required to eliminate their waiting list during the last levy cycle. As the individuals, everyone on the waiting list was contacted. If needed, they were assessed for waiver services, and as of 2020, I'm happy to report that there is no waiting list for services. DDS is no longer allowed to have a waiting list for services, and every individual that requests services for waivers is assessed within 30 calendar days. Because of the elimination of that waiting list, we have seen new clients continue to increase well above the pre-COVID levels, as you can see both from the chart on here, as well as the year-over-year averages in the number of individuals being added for services. If you look, 2019 was 10, 2020 was 36. You get into 2023, and it's as high as 94 new individuals with waivers for services. This is where you can actually, on this next chart, you can actually see where the beginning fund balance of the levy is over $100 million, but by the end of the 5-year period, it's forecasted, if this increase continues to go as it looks like it will, the ending fund balance is looking to be it says 12 million at this point, significantly lower. The tax levy committee is recommending a renewal of the levy at 4.13 mils, along with very close monitoring of the levy fund balances year over year and what steps are being taken to try to manage that, so that the commissioners as well as the public can be made aware along the way each year of what the status of the levy is. There will be annual reporting as well as financial projections on the levy during that period of time. Again, this has nothing to do with developmental disability services monitoring. They have super responsible fiscal auditing, take care, very well managed program. They're just seeing so many trends in cost increases and the number of individuals that need services. Moving on to the Family Services and Treatment Levy. The Family Services and Treatment Levy provides treatment for individuals in the criminal justice system related to substance use. The treatment levy is shown to reduce recidivism and relapse rates among participants through its programming. The programs provided within the levy include program services for drug court, recovery court, municipal court treatment at 1617 Reading Road, the county's Office of Reentry, and the Veterans Court. Nearly all of the funding is for treatment-based programming. This is actually one of our smallest levies. It brings in about $6.5 million in annual revenue. The levy committee is recommending a renewal at 0.34 mils. Slide, thank you. The levy committee additionally is recommending continued use and strengthening of relationships with the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board, utilizing them as a clearinghouse for levy-funded court treatment programming. The committee is recommending that Mental Health and Recovery Services work with the courts and community providers because they are best able to meet the changing needs of our community when it comes to treatment programming. We will be able, by using Mental Health and Recovery Services, we'll be able to take more advantage of their flexibility to shift funding between programming and or into new programs based on utilization and community need. We are also looking at working with county departments to develop a universal measure of recidivism for all county treatment programming and to hire an administrative staff person to help monitor all of that treatment core programming and look for the multiple funding sources to best meet the needs of the courts. Last slide for you. This is the next steps in this process. Tonight's public hearing, right now with the commissioners. There is another public hearing tomorrow at 1 p.m. at the Todd Portune Center downtown during the commissioners' regularly scheduled meeting. At that same meeting, there will be resolutions advanced for the requesting that the auditor certify the millage needed for the ballot resolutions. That's a necessary legal step for any ballot resolution before it's approved. And then the track for the commissioners right now is that they would be able to approve ballot resolutions at their commission meeting on Thursday, July 18th. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Webb. I will open it up to our colleagues if they'd like to make a statement or have any questions at this time, and then we'll go directly to our citizens. Vice President Treehouse.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation, and thank you all for being here. I, too, want to thank the TLRC for all the work that they've done to get us to this point, especially the members that served on these subcommittees. It's a lot of work. They're all volunteers, but they always make really smart and strategic recommendations to us. So thank them for their work, and Lisa, thank you for your work in putting all of this together. I do want to emphasize two things. One is that the recommendation from the TLRC is to keep these levies flat, and so both levies will be on the ballot flat this year, if that's what the majority approves of. And then secondly, I think it's really important, and I think it gets lost sometimes, I think we need to continue to talk about the importance of these levies, both the DD levy and the Family Services levy. And so I once again want to thank all of you for helping us tell that story, because you are going to tell us and bring it home for us related to the importance of these dollars in our community. And so I think it will be really important to hear from you and make sure the community understands the benefit of these levies. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I go to Commissioner Dumas, I do want to acknowledge, are there any TLRC members here tonight? If you are, okay. Okay, just wanted to make sure we didn't forget them.
We have let them off the hook
Let them
as
off
of
the hook
last
this
Tuesday
time.
that they have
They're out
completed their
there.
service for this portion, yes.
They've handed it over. Okay, Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you. Not much to say. It's just great to put a face to the levy And I know, Lisa, you will talk about what a yes vote means and what a no vote means. And this is, of course, a 5-year levy. So I just want to wait and hear from other people.
Do you want her to answer that question for the
I don't know
audience?
if she wanted to do it at the end or do it now.
Yeah.
No, I can go ahead. Yeah, so as I mentioned with developmental disabilities, I think the key point there is this is the local funding for those services. So a vote for yes will continue those services for Hamilton County. A vote of no would leave the county commissioners scrambling in case the levy were to fail, which it has not done to date. For those services, as we saw on that chart, the developmental disabilities, because the need is so great, continues to spend above revenues so that they can continue to provide those services, and they would be coming to the commissioners, I believe, for general fund support if needed for that levy. I will mention too, that levy for a $100,000 home remaining flat is $101 per $100,000 home, just for information. The Family Services and Treatment Levy provides those treatment services in the community for individuals involved in criminal justice. Those services are not mandated. If that levy were to fail, we would cease having funding for those programming in the short term, and we would be scrambling to figure that out. We'd be looking at sentencing individuals to additional jail days, dealing with complicated issues there, and quite frankly, those individuals will not be getting the treatment supports that they need to be able to either stay in the community or re-engage in the community once they've completed their sentence. That levy costs a $100,000 home, $7.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you also talked about a new law about the wait period or something.
Yes, the waiting list. Yes, the developmental disabilities is not allowed, like senior services or some of the other levies, to institute a waiting list or decrease the level of services immediately that individuals have. They have legally arranged agreements for those waivers. They're the legal documents, and we are required to provide that level of service for all of the individuals that are receiving those services. We can't, and we, like I said, we cannot go to a wait list, and we cannot eliminate services in the
Gotcha.
interim.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to the speakers, but I also want to acknowledge this month of July. Today's July 1st, and it's Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month as well. So that's a national recognition. So I want to just recognize everyone there. Okay, we're going to get right to it. Now we're going to hear from the people. Thank you so much, Ms. Webb. Okay, we're going to, and if I say your last name wrong or first name wrong, please say it correctly when you come up. Is it Michael Dillinger? Yeah, take it around the other way. Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight about the Hamilton County DD Services Levy Renewal. My name is Michael Dinlinger, and I'm here to talk to you and tell you about what DD Services means to me. I'm a very busy advocate in my community and all over the county, and I do a lot of work with Hamilton County DD Services, and I go around the city and do speaking engagements not unlike these, and I advocate and fight for people with disabilities everywhere I go. Without my services, I would not be able to live in the community or serve the people that I serve. And also, as the former chair of the Ohio Developmental Disabilities Council, and still current serving members, I travel a lot to Columbus and all over the state for events related to DD services as well. And without my aid services, which is provided by DD Services, and without that, I would not be able to have access to the community and to be able to travel to DC and speak to our representatives there to make a difference in the lives of people with disabilities. So I urge you to renew this levy and continue the funding for other advocates like me to keep doing the work that we do. Thank you again for your time, and it was my pleasure to speak to you all tonight.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all your work. You've been at this a long time. Thank you so much. Okay. I probably need to go get my glasses. Deontay, I might need you to go get my glasses. Dakota Whitley, thank you.
Hi. I just want to say thank you for letting me speak here on behalf of Hamilton County Developmental Disabilities. What they do for me is they get me out in the communities, they get me involved with other advocate networks, and they help me with looking up doctors and stuff like that. So I urge you guys to renew this, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
You good?
He's very strong.
I know.
You got strong. Dr. Andy McGannon. This is a handwriting. I knew you were a doctor.
Dr. Andy Magenheim.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Give me a second. I'm going to pull up what I got here because I got to use my notes a little bit. I wanted to first start off by thanking you all for hearing the public and working towards renewal of the levy. It is very important. There's both value and impact that has been incredible in the time period that I have been on the board. This is my 9th year, I'm sorry, it's my 12th year, and I'm the board president now. So I'm done this year. And I can only thank you for allowing us to have that because it helped my family. I have 2 children who were diagnosed with autism over 19 years ago. Both are relatively independent. They'll be living with autism for their lives, but both the supports through the county disabilities, the school districts, the children's home, children's medical, all this stuff has helped out so much that we've been able to give them the resources to develop, which is what is quite different in the time period that I have been on the board. It started off as just a service provider, and it transitioned into development providing. And it is really a true thing that has grown, even though the levy has been flat, that you mentioned earlier. Internally, we've seen a large shift from servicing to supporting integration into the community, which has supported both the individuals, their families, and our community. For my family, I could never thank the community enough for the support we would have never even guessed to ask for. So we have a unique community in Hamilton County. This is a very important levy and services that we do. The integration between Hamilton County DDS and all the other services and public supports, private supports, and nonprofits is the next thing that's going to continue growing. And I wish I could be on the board, but I'm going to help out where I can. So I would encourage you to recommend that the DDS levy this fall and in the future is supported, both flat right now, but if more is needed, we do more. Thank you for the ongoing support and the generous community of Hamilton County.
Thanks, Doc. Myra Miles.
Hello, my name's Myra. Well, thanks for allowing me to speak, especially something that I'm very passionate about. My name's Myra, like I said. I receive services for Hamilton County DDS. If not for HCDDS and my waiver services, I would still be isolated away from my community and my peers, and I would still be living in a nursing home. Thanks to DDS, I now live in the community and have many friends. DDS and their employees care and encourage you to reach your potential. Also, it is not all about services. I am treated as a whole person, and they help me live my best life. And yeah, I'm just glad to be out of a nursing home, and I don't want to see anybody else in that situation that I was placed in. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Gwen Pearson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to thank the commissioners for allowing me to come and speak to you today. When our son, we have an adopted son, and so we've had support through Job and Family Services as well as DDS. When our son was diagnosed, well, first we went through the testing, and I did not want him labeled with anything. Someone at DDS, and I cannot remember her name, encouraged me to have the testing done. And because we had the testing done, it has changed our life because we have the services that were needed to help our son develop into a very, very good young man. He is now 23 years old. He's on the spectrum, sensory integration, and cognitive disability. And in spite of all of that, we had all of the trials trying to get through to help him develop. And so I went, because of the services that we received, I need to let you know what accomplishments he has had. When he was on the neighborhood baseball team, he had a no-hitter with 10 strikeouts. He has bowled in a regular adult bowling league since he's been 18 and has had 4 perfect games. He plays drums at our church, and he just started taking drum lessons. When he was in high school, his sophomore year, he went to state for bowling. His team did not go, but he qualified as an individual. So when we paired up with ODD and Goodwill and helped get him placed in a job, he's been in his job 5 years. And his supervisor says he's the most respectful, he's never late, he does not want to be sick, so he always wants to be there. Our SSAs have been extremely helpful with getting the services that we need to transition from Medicare and Medicaid after he turned 18. Our children are very lonely. Having these social events makes my son Maxwell very happy. This year he was participated with the Pigabilities and manning a water station at mile 25. Uber has allowed him to experience independence from getting from home to work.
I'm sorry, they have a time limit.
I'm sorry, okay.
I will store it, I would love, this is phenomenal.
That's fine, but I just needed you to hear the positive things that have come out from this. And the last thing I'm gonna say, autism is not a processing error, it is a different operating system. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for connecting all the dots. That was great. Our next speaker is Noni Bird Wright and Malachi Lewis Bird.
Hi. My name is Noni Bird Wright, and this is my son Malachi. Say hi.
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 And he is on the autism spectrum. I am a 20-year retired veteran of the United States Army. In 2003, I was deployed for Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. When I came home, I noticed severe cognitive delays, speech, OT, PT, anything you can imagine, he had regressed. Went to his pediatrician for assistance, and they told me I was a bad mother because I chose my country over my son. It was a fight to get him diagnosed, and when we finally got the diagnosis, to get help and services was difficult. The military offered nothing, and if it wasn't for Hamilton County DDS, we wouldn't be here right now. Malachi is thriving. He's He's speaking now. He's a high school graduate. He is working. We're advocates for autism, and he'll show you right now. He is a winner. And they saved my life as well. I have PTSD from my deployment, and during that time period, I was suicidal. The respite services that we received helped me to get the treatment I need and simple things just like 8 hours of sleep. Hamilton County DDS has been a game changer for us. They help me to be a better mother, to be a better soldier, and they don't just impact Hamilton County, they impact the nation as well. So we ask you to please do whatever is in your power to make sure Hamilton County DDS gets the funding they receive from my family and other families like me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for your service and testimony. Thank you. Last name Young. That's going to get me in trouble. Not getting in trouble this time.
Thank you for letting me speak to you.
Pull your mic down so they can hear you and say your full name.
My name is Risha Young. Thank you for letting me speak to you today. I have a daughter, Grace Young. She's 15. She was diagnosed with autism when she was 3.5. I look at autism, it's a very wide spectrum. You know, you have kids over here that are verbal, don't have many behaviors. Then you have the kids over here. My Gracie is over here. She's nonverbal. She has a lot of behaviors. Gracie goes to one of the Hamilton County's medically fragile schools. She goes to Margaret B. Ross. We didn't start off at Margaret B. Ross. We started off in our district in their special autism centers. I was getting called like every other day to come pick her up from school. They were not keeping her. They told me they couldn't handle her, and it was just a big mess. And a lot of people think that if you're nonverbal, you don't have it up here, but Gracie has it up here. They will call me to come pick her up. I would pick her up. We go out to eat. We watch movies, and she's fine the rest of the day. And I told the teachers, I said, I think Gracie want to be with mommy instead of school, you know. So y'all seeing all this, and y'all feeding right into what she wants, you know. But I was in the district, and I didn't know what I was talking about. So, you know, it was a long process. But finally, they told me they couldn't do it anymore with her, you know, and she needed to go elsewhere. So I went to see Margaret B. Ross, and I fell in love. Most of the kids there are nonverbal. One big issue I had with her district is Gracie uses a device to speak, and I would have to go round and round to have them use her device. I even bought one and sent it to school and asked them, you know, she's in speech therapy, we got to do this, she got to be able to communicate, and it was just a big hassle. Margaret B. Ross, she carried her device every day, and that's what they expect of her. They see grace, not the autism. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing the story. Jason Rhodes.
Good evening, and thank you again for allowing us to speak. My name is Jason Rhodes, and I'm here to recommend the tax levy for DDS be removed. Renewed, not removed.
I'm gonna give you an extra second to clear that up. What would you like?
Tax levy renewal.
Yeah, I want you to be able to get out the front door today.
Yeah.
No, go on.
We have a 2-year-old son named Michael, and he was born with bilateral club feet, so both feet kind of just grew kind of curved up like this. He also has a diagnosis of low muscle tone and hip dysplasia, so all that is to say he had some developmental delays when it came to walking, crawling, pulling up, that sort of thing. We work with Cincinnati Children's to correct his feet, so feet are normal, and we were doing physical therapy with them as well. That was going so-so, kind of slow, going to their facilities and everything. We were recommended the Help Me Grow program through early intervention, and since we got approved and started with that, the results had been just dramatic. I can't speak highly enough of our coordinator named Jen. She comes to our house before work. It's extremely convenient. It's a great program. And Michael is walking, running. We're working on stairs now. And I just want to reiterate the convenience of them coming to the house where he's comfortable, where he has all his toys, and she is great with him. She's brought in their own physical therapists that they have on staff, and it's just a great program. So thank you again. That's all I have to say. Renew the tax levy for DDS. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. I'm very excited that your child is doing so much better. Okay, so now we're going to move to Judge Gwen Bender.
Well, this needs to come down. I'm here to speak to you on behalf of the Recovery Court program in municipal court. That was a new program that you graciously gave us funding to start to try. To remind everybody, the Recovery Court docket is focused on the nonviolent, higher level offenders within municipal court. These are, as far as we're concerned in municipal court, the ones that we're going to send to jail. These are not first-time offenders. These are people that we've had repeatedly in the program, that we've tried every level of probation and, quite frankly, jail time that we can with them, and we're just not getting through. The Recovery Court program and the funding that you provided has allowed us to make a huge difference. The return on your investment is fantastic. You'll hear from one of our soon-to-be graduates today. I can tell you those that are making it successfully through the program are all employed. Most of them are employed full-time. They have an active handle on their addiction issues, and we're returning them to their families. So we have moms and dads and sons and daughters that are going back to their family. They're actively involved in their family, and they're actively involved in the community. The Tax Levy Review Committee has graciously agreed, or has submitted a proposal to increase our funding as our program grows. We started small. We wanted to make sure that we weren't taking too much money, and that the program was going to work. The program has worked very well so far. We've graduated one. We just started last April. We have 3 scheduled to graduate in the next month. I want to thank the Tax Levy Review Committee for their recommendation, and we're in favor of this program. The one question I was asked the last time we were here, and I want to make it clear, all of our recovery programs within Hamilton County at the municipal level, Veterans Court, Change Court, and this court, we all work together. We are not competing for bodies. We are not competing for resources. We actually are all very good about working together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judge. And I do want to remind people, we're now talking about the Family Services and Treatment Levy, and as indicated, it includes drug court, recovery court, municipal court treatment, reentry office, and veterans court. So I wanted to, for those who are watching. Next, we have Judge Janea Bratton.
Good evening.
Good evening, Judge.
Thank you for allowing us to speak. I just wanted to discuss our drug court / human trafficking court and municipal court, which I took over in January. It is a court that is dual, so it is drug addiction, mental health, as well as the added trauma that one experiences by being human trafficked. The adding us to this levy, because we have never been a part of the levy, will allow us to expand services. We have served a limited number of women because of the intense time and money and energy that is put into helping every woman that comes through our program. We just have to limit, based on the funding that we had, the number of people that we could serve. And so adding us to this particular levy will allow us to serve more women, which will allow us to increase trauma counseling, treatment, housing, family reunification, and other services that are needed to gain and maintain stability. All of the women, before they graduate from our program, have stable housing, and they have been housed for a significant period of time. They are also employed, and they are working or have reunified their family. And so while it is a holistic court, it also helps the county by reducing the resources that we spend in JFS, in foster care, and in jail. And so I want to, again, thank you for considering adding us to this particular levy. I know that funds are sometimes everybody, is competing, but as Judge Bender said, we all work together and try to find the best court to put an individual in to make sure they're successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Chief? He already knew. I said, Chief, he knew, like, jump up, I'm here.
That's my first and last name, Chief. Chief Tom Simon, and I'm here to support the Family Services and Treatment Levy. As you all know, and you're so active in it, Cincinnati, Hamilton County back in 2017 on was one of the hardest hit areas in the country when it comes to overdoses and overdose crisis. We are now leading the country in recovery, and it's because we have these treatment resources. We have the recovery courts, we have the drug courts, we have all these resources that are allowing us to shift and change the way we view it and deal with addiction. But it's not just the public doing that, it's also law enforcement. And by having those resources, it allows us to get people more into longer term recovery instead of just punishing people. And it's really shifting the stigma. And when we do it for substance use disorder, for mental health, that opens the door to so many more chronic mental social issues. And it's because we have those services that allows us to do that. So I'm here in support of it, and I hope that it continues through. It makes our jobs easier. It makes us better prepared to serve individuals, families, and the communities as a whole. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for your leadership in this area. We really appreciate it. Joseph Mahalan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thanks for this opportunity to speak tonight on behalf of the Family Services and Treatment Levy. My name is Joseph Monholland. I am a graduate of the Recovery Court that is funded through this levy. I am an alcoholic and have been in and out of prison and jail due to my alcoholism. I was accepted in the recovery docket last year in June, started the program June 29th, which is also when I started my journey in sobriety. Through this time in the recovery court, I was able to rebuild relationships with family and friends. I've been able to start earning trust. I was able to start my career in CNC machining. I have a sponsor, and I'm able to help people today and support those who still suffer from this disease. I appreciate the treatment that I received in my addiction from the recovery court. I would like to thank Judge Bender for all her support and encouragement. I plan on helping people when and where I can, continue to enjoy the life free of addiction and chaos. Thank you for the time tonight. I appreciate the funding that made it possible for me to be here with you guys tonight. I encourage you to support the renewal of the Family Services and the Treatment Levy. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you so much. Okay, now this next one is definitely not my eyes, but is there a Pamela Thompson? Your fancy signature here.
Hello, good evening.
Good
Thank
evening.
you for having me tonight. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am part of 2 programs that you guys have helped and supported. And we know that it takes a village, and a village looks like it's has so many tentacles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know the opposite of addiction is community. And so we all need that support. And so I come from drug court. I went through Talbot House. I graduated drug court. I came back around to Talbot House because I knew that I wanted to help those, and I wanted them to see that recovery is possible. I exemplify hope, and I want them to see that it could be done. And so now I am grateful to have this position as a peer support for the recovery docket. And so now I walk along those that's like Joseph and those that come behind me in order to support them and let them see that there is life outside of that addiction does not take over their life and doesn't have to. There is no cure, but there's manageability, and we know that there is life after addiction. And so I stand here today urging you guys to know that your resources help. And so if you have a question, again, I am a return on your investment. He is a return on investment, and those that come behind us. as we walk alongside of those who continue to suffer from disease of addiction. And there is hope. So again, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak and know that your refunds and your resources do help. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for your work. Andrew, is it Kesson? Correct me when you get up there, I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Gossett, got it.
I appreciate you. Just be short and sweet. As speaking for the homeowner portion, just seen the taxes go up and up and up. If I recall correctly, my full year amount has been up over $300 and over $700 a year since I bought my house. And it's just coming to question, bring headlight to y'all if there's any better way to fund these programs than just increasing burden on the homeowner. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Seal Watkins.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I've been a lifelong member of the community. I'm a pastor of one of the strongest African American churches in the city of Cincinnati. I've been there for almost 5 years now. Wow. And I've seen this lady and this man, I've seen people like them. Because of treatment, they have become real productive citizens. And as one that's in my church has started the A1 Stigma-Free Coalition, and they're out there fighting in the streets every day. Another one who went through recovery is now ministering to children. He assists children who don't want to get in gangs. He feeds children who come to his house at 11 o'clock at night because they don't have food on the table. And he also interacts with children and take them to baseball games and museums. We study. I personally go with these two guys every day at 7:15 in the morning to South Avondale School to greet the kids for an hour every day. Last year we went, and they were dedicated to that. So I believe the alternative to incarceration is treatment. I support the levy, even though I am a homeowner, and I see this man's point of view also. But I'm just encouraging you to vote for this levy so that treatment really works. It works. It's an alternative to incarceration. So I'm asking you to pass the levy.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your work. That was our final speaker this evening. Before we close, I do want to thank everyone for coming out. To remind those who would like to have their voices heard, we'll have it again tomorrow down at our 138 East Court Street. We're on the 6th floor. So if anyone would like to come for that hearing before we make our final decision, I will open it up to Vice President Driehaus if she has any remarks.
Just want to thank everybody for coming out. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Dumas?
Thanks. I just thank everyone who took the time to come out. As was said earlier, I am a parent of a child on a spectrum. He's an adult now, but you guys, ladies, have done what I did as he was growing up when people said no, and he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that. I was determined as a parent that I'm not accepting that. So it really touches my heart, everything that everyone has said. And as far as the drug court, I did have a question with Jeff. Does this impact the QRT task force at all? Does this put more money into it, or do we do that separately?
I'm going to allow Ms. Webb to talk about the program specifics.
Absolutely. The QRT and their work is funded largely by federal grants that we've received over the last several years. But no, they are not funded by the levy.
Okay, thank you. And I did attend a welcome home project that they have at the court. And I know you guys, some of you are familiar with it. I attended in behalf of my colleagues for a graduation there last week. And so we're just doing great things in the county and at the court. And so I'm just really proud to support both of these levies. And I also, the gentleman, was it Jason, who talked about Andrew talked about the property taxes, I certainly understand where he is with that. And because as a board, we've put lots and lots of money into mortgage assistance and rental assistance, and I am appalled at how the property taxes went up. So I certainly understand where he is at that. And we're trying to give as much money and assistance as we can in that area. So I respect you for coming forward and letting us know. But thank you all. And this is both of these levies are no-brainers for me, for sure. So thank you.
Mr. Ludo, is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Commissioner, no, other than just as Ms. Webb had indicated at the beginnings, we have another hearing tomorrow on this. Also tomorrow there are 2 resolutions on the agenda to certify the millage, to ask the auditor to certify the millage for both of these levies. And then assuming the board so desires, on the 18th, we would propose a resolutions coming forward to the board relating to the board considering these for the ballot. So that would be the timeline from here on out.
Okay. So those resolutions that you'll prepare, just want to reiterate, are to renew at the same rate.
Absolutely,
Not
yes.
to do any type of increase at all.
No, they are to renew at the same millage rate and roughly just moderate changes, I believe. We're waiting for, once we do the certificates tomorrow at the meeting, we'll get the finalized numbers from the auditor and we can compare those year over year. But they'll be collecting the same amount and should be very, very close to, if not exactly the same cost per $100,000 home as the prior levy.
Okay.
And Commissioners, we have not received, to my knowledge, we have not received any additional requests from board offices to certify any additional millages. So at this point, the only thing that would be there for consideration would be those flat amounts.
Yeah, I would assume that our board, we've been pretty clear of not raising any additional millages for levies. And as was mentioned earlier, in terms of the property tax, which we're very, very concerned with, dealing with the reevaluations that are mandated by the state of Ohio. I just want to reiterate one of the things in my state of the county. I've asked for the governor to intervene to do a freeze until the state legislature can get a new formula. I have not heard back. I don't know why, but I've called several times and have not heard back. But we are. Just want to know that issue is in the forefront for us, to our speaker that was here, that just spoke earlier. So, okay, well, that is it.
Something very quick.
Okay.
That it just may be helpful in terms of levies and property taxes to understand for the community that county property tax levies by state revised code are set to bring in an amount of revenue. And in that, if property taxes were to say double, or property values were to double in Hamilton County, Developmental Disability Services is not getting a windfall. They're not getting double the amount of money that they were getting, that they would have been getting. They're still going to be receiving that same amount of revenue, and then property taxes for individual homeowners would be likely go down, but they will modify to meet that need, just to clarify that for county levies.
Okay. All right. And I'm glad you brought out the mandate service. This is mandated service that has to be paid in Hamilton County, and we want to provide the service, but I want people to know that is a state mandate to pay for these services one way or another. Okay? All right. Well, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Thank you all.